Hey there. Um, Thanks for watching. Welcome to my show. Welcome to my show. Um, Welcome to my YouTube channel, The Lifting of the Veil, Thoughts on A Course in Miracles. My name is Stefan Bolz. I've been studying the course since, I want to say 92, but I think it officially started in 94. I came to the United States in 96 for a 3-month 3 months retreat at the Foundation for A Course in Miracles in Roscoe, New York. Back then it was in Roscoe. They moved to Temecula, California, and now to Nevada. I was there for 3 months, and that stay there completely changed the rest of my life, because I came back to the States and lived here since 1997. The Course in Miracles has been a daily companion to me since then. And this channel is basically my thoughts about it. They might not be your thoughts. I studied under Kenneth Wapnick in the Foundation for A Course in Miracles, so what I'm saying is very strongly based on Ken's teachings of the Course in Miracles. There are other teachings out there, but this is the one that resonated with me the most, and that's why I'm talking to you about my understanding of the Course in Miracles based on Kenneth Wapnick. If you want more information, much more information, tons and tons of material, taped workshops, books and such, facim.org is where everything is based on one. That's the Foundation for A Course in Miracles website. So again, thanks and welcome. What I wanted to talk to you today as a little bit of an introduction is, how did it all happen? There are a couple of good sources if you're further interested in that. The one is that I really like, is called The Forgotten Song. It's a 1-hour video about the story, about how the course came about. And another very comprehensive work that is about 500 pages is The Absence from Felicity by Ken Wapnick. That's the most detailed description of how A Course in Miracles came about. If you're really interested in that aspect of it, this is probably the best source out there. Written by Ken Wapnick, who met Helen Schucman and Bill Thetford, the two people who are responsible for bringing the course into the world. He met them very early on, just before it was published in 72, I think, or 73. This is a very deep and comprehensive book on that. Very briefly, as to how I came to the course. I'm not sure which year it was, but I was in Germany, and I was into a spiritual journey already for a bunch of years. That started with, I think I was 21 or 22 when I drove home in my car from work, and the thought occurred to me that there must be more to life than this, right? I was in a happy relationship. There was a baby on the way. I had a job and everything was fine. But I felt that there was something missing in my life, and I didn't know what that was. And I just thought that there must be more to life. And then I started reading books, New Age books, Louise Hay and Shakti Gawain and Dr. Joseph Murphy and all those. And then one day I ordered a book from a bookstore, and it had to do with love, and I got the wrong book. The wrong book came, and the book that came, this is the English version, this is not the German version. The book that came was called The Heart of Healing. And it was not the book that I ordered, but I remember opening it and reading, and I'm gonna read you the paragraph that it was a couple written by Bruce Davis and Jenny Wright Davis, and they found the Course in Miracles, and they were just basically talking about their studies and their experiences with it. And there was one quote: "I remember I sat at the kitchen table in my house and I read this and I started crying. And at that moment I knew that this was my path." I didn't really know anything else other than that one paragraph, but I knew this touched me so deeply that I didn't even have any reference point of previous experiences, right? And it says here, "You cannot understand how much your Father loves you, for there's no parallel in your experience of the world to help you understand it. There's nothing on earth with which it can compare, and nothing you have ever felt apart from Him resembles it, even so faintly." From that point on, I read, because the course was not available in German yet. And my English was, I had 5 years of English at school. So my English was okay, but nothing, this is a tough language to grasp in your native language, right? There's a reason for it, which I'm going to get into in different sessions. But this is a tough one to get into in your native language, and imagine in a foreign language. It's impossible, right? So anyway, I read a bunch of books by everybody that I could find. They have 1 or 2 quotes of the Course in Miracles in it, because there was nothing else available. I remember getting the English version, which was not this one, but it was an earlier one, and I started to try to translate the first 50 miracle principles, and I had absolutely no clue what it said. None. I had no clue. It was gibberish. But it was almost like, so somebody shakes your hand and says something to you in a language you don't understand, but you know that the person who said it loves you deeply. That's as close as I can come with a description of what happened. So I translated the first 50 principles of miracles, and I had no clue what it said, but I stuck with it. And in 1994, the German version came out, and I read it. I think I read the first time. I read it in like a month. You can't read it that slowly, that fast, right? This is a lifelong process. This is not something you read once like a book and put it aside. I mean, you can, but if this is your path, this book will be on your nightstand, in your car, on your phone if you have a Kindle. It won't leave you. It never left me since that time when I first read it. And I had a course group in Germany way back when in '95, and my book was so broken apart that my course group for Christmas or for my birthday gave me a new cover. They made it a new cover, but this was, I mean, I underlined every line, at least in the text. That's 600 and something, 650, 660 pages. And then the lessons weren't any different. I underlined pretty much everything that is possible to underline, right? So anyway, I realized that was my path. And then I wrote, before the German version came out, I wrote a letter to the publisher of the German translation. It wasn't out yet. And I sent them cookies. And I said, can you please hurry up with your translation, because I need it. And I never heard back, but I got on the list for one of the translators, Frankita Katani, who was, I think, one of 3 translators that worked on the translation into German. I got on her email list, and I got an email one day that said, we have a seminar, a workshop about A Course in Miracles in Turkey for 3 weeks in the summer. I was the first to sign up, and I became friends with Frankita. We became good friends, and we did a couple of workshops together about the Course in Miracles. And thinking back on it now, from a standpoint of 25 years later, I really had no business doing a workshop on A Course in Miracles. I didn't know anything. The only thing I knew really was that this path would go past all the other things I've read. So all the other books and spiritual systems I read stop at a certain point, right? They give you advice and give you thoughts, but then they stop. With the Course in Miracles, you can go all the way home, right? We'll get into what that means, but you can go all the way to the end with this book. Whether it takes you 50 years or 200 years or 2 years, doesn't matter. You can go all the way. There's no limit other than the ones that you put in your path to your own salvation. From that, Frankita was listening to, or she was in contact with Kenneth Wapnick, because he was involved in the Foundation for A Course in Miracles. And she went there a couple of times back and forth with the translation. And so I started to listen to tapes of his. And so there was this one, before I finished this first segment, there was this one tape called The Meaning of Judgment. And sorry. That's the other one. It's one of the 1,000 or however many tapes he has. No, it's called I Want the Peace of God. And it's one of the lessons in the workbook. I can't remember what lesson it is, 180, 190, something like that. But it says basically, the header of the lesson is I want the peace of God. And below it says, to say these words means nothing. To mean these words is everything. And that one lesson brought the whole course home to me, and something clicked, and I got it. Not the whole thing. There's no way. I still can't get the whole thing, but it's lesson 185. To say this, I want the peace of God. To say these words is nothing, but to mean these words is everything. So in a nutshell, in a very, very short description of what the Course is it basically what this journey with the Course is about, is that it tells us, or it shows us, how much we do not want the peace of God. That we think we do, and we act as if we do, and some part of us does, but there's a big part of us, like an iceberg. The tip of an iceberg says, I want the peace of God, and the rest, the 98% below water surface, does not want the peace of God. And basically, the whole text lays out that thought system that is the no, the ego thought system, as the Course describes it, that says, no, I do not want the peace of God. And it shows us all the ways in our thinking how we actually really do not want love or the peace of God, as the Course says. We want the opposite. So that, in a way, in a nutshell, is the basis of the Course. It lays bare our thought system. It lays bare the purpose of why we're here. It talks about that we do not want peace, and that is the work we need to do. We need to look at the fact that we do not want peace. And that's it for today. Thanks so much again for viewing, and I will see you very soon.